June 14th, 2022 meeting of the Ayer Planning Board. Before we formally begin, I just want to make an informal statement. You may notice that we've changed our roles around the table. At our last meeting, we did what we're supposed to do after any election, is review all the roles, the board roles. And during those elections, we had some shifts. So I became chair, Mr. Diskin became vice chair, Jeff Tillotson, who had been chair, is now our clerk, and Julie Murray and Nathan King, who's not here, remain as board members.
Still here.
And she's still here. As chair, part of my responsibility is to maintain order. And I'm not an expert in Roger's Rules of Order. So I'm asking for your patience. This is my first time out. I'm very excited about it. I'm glad to see you all here. And I'm happy to be working with a great crew. Jeff, under his leadership, has done a wonderful job with the board, and especially with the hiring of Mark Archambault as a full-time planner 5 years ago? Almost 5 years ago. We've made a lot of strides. So my agenda is really simple, to keep on working as we have. With that said, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Seconded.
Do we have to do roll call at this time with the COVID? Can we all call it up?
Do we have a discussion about changing the agenda?
I'm sorry. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, we'll
Yes,
keep
we
you
do
honest
have. We
tonight.
do have some changes, I believe. Mark, would you call it?
Yes. The RE Architects, we're going 5355 Main Street. They will not be before us tonight. Based on the discussion I had with the building commissioner, they may be approaching the ZBA as a first step. So we felt that that was a better process for that project. They may come before the board informally in the future, but we'll see how that goes. So that one will drop off at the agenda for this evening.
Okay. Any other changes?
No.
Roll call or voice vote?
In person, you do voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Zoom, you have to do it by roll.
And do I also say as amended per the discussion?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm looking. So do the two people who made the nomination accept the amendments as discussed?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. And now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
All those not in favor? Ayes have it. There are no covenant bond releases. So that means we can move on to the Pleasant Street Extension guardrail issue. Little context. We received a letter, how long ago, Mark?
It was maybe 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago, from a number of people who live in the Pleasant Street Extension neighborhood who were not happy about the failure to construct a wooden guardrail as indicated in the site plan, and instead a steel rail in its place. And we've invited a representative of the developer, the owner, Mr. Moore, to talk about what's going on and give his side of the story. Calvin, did you want to step up?
Sure.
And just this usual name and address
Here,
stuff.
Calvin.
Calvin Moore, somewhere in there. It varies month to month where I do live. But as you know, we weren't invited at the last meeting for whatever reasons, and that's okay. So I'm going to come prepared tonight with just a few bullet points that I want to be allowed to read, and we'll go from there. But the current pressure-treated guardrails were changed from the original plans for the following reasons. They are similar or better equivalent alternative to the ones that are currently there now. That we have there now. Metal guardrails are stronger and will last a lot longer than wood. Treated rails are one of those items that are still caught up in the supply chain availability. Metal rails were installed at that time for public safety because of the non-availability of the wood. CJ, my son, had a discussion with the DPW superintendent, and he remembers that adamantly about this, and he says, okay, just don't use the shiny rails. And at that point, I didn't even know what a rusted rail was, and I found that out, but just do not use the shiny rails and it'll be okay. So then they were installed. The town bylaws do not have material regulations. Only the guardrails will be used based on elevations versus surrounding grade. The rails were installed and were done so per the approved set of plans. The installed rails meet or exceed the performance requirements, impact ratings, etc., than wood rails would have ever had provided. We have many projects, our family has had many projects in the town of Ayer, and we've always worked closely with all of the boards concerning the elimination of streetlights, the curbing, sidewalk locations, public parking lot on Park Street, sidewalks at 200 West Main, 215 and 217 West Main, etc., that we work closely with the DPW, with this board, and other boards in the town of Ayer for a win-win situation. The curbing has been installed for over a year, and we feel it's very unfair that when neighbors move in, after the fact, they want these type of issues changed or modified. Stick it.
I didn't realize, you're done? You're not done?
Well, I'm not done,
Okay.
no. Sticking with demanding the wooden rails be replaced with what was done for public safety is purely based on someone's aesthetic opinion and not on local or state regulations, requirements, or performance standards. The town installs these type of guardrails all over town. It is not fair not to allow others to do the same. And that's very important. If the town does it, then other people should be allowed to use that. Pulling up the metal post will cause damage to the base coat, the curbing, and the newly applied top coat that is just done today. Bottom line is we want to finish this project and cannot do so with changing of this mandate. We have many years to complete it, and if not, I do not want to become another Madigan Lane where the town will maintain an unaccepted road. We want Pleasant Street Extension to be approved at the fall town meeting, and we're running out of time. Based on these statements, the rails installed in the locations required by the regulations and approved plans will function and provide the same or more protection as the wood rails shown on the plan. Amen.
Thank you, Calvin. I'd like to open the floor to questions from the board first, and then I will turn to the public so that you'll have an opportunity to make comments. But first I want to turn to my board colleagues. Questions for Calvin or comments?
The first thing I have to do is I have to recuse myself from the discussion on this. I wish I didn't have to, but I'm in a butter to a project that Calvin's family is involved with, so I cannot comment on this because I'd be a conflict. So I have to stay out of the discussion.
Understood. Any
Good.
thoughts, Julie?
No, but I'm eager to hear from both of you.
Marketing materials that you used when people came to look at the project during the building of it?
I don't know what was done. We sold the land, the lots. We sold the lots, and it was up to Gallagher to do whatever marketing he did. We were going to put a town.
Gallagher was your salesman.
We didn't have a salesman. I was a salesman with Gallagher.
I'm confused.
I says, Gallagher, you want to buy 8 lots? He says, sure. Okay, buy 8 lots.
So you didn't actually interface directly with the residents of
No,
the owners?
no.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's the question I had. Yeah, that is it for now, yes.
I'd like to give the public an opportunity to speak and actually to take turns, and if you would, Calvin, if you could make way so they can have access to the microphone. If you would come up and state your name and your address, and then say your piece.
Hi, my name is Rick Horse. I live at 124 Pleasant Street, and I was present here at the last meeting. I think the letter that we wrote outlines our concerns pretty well. I think that and I think was agreed at the last meeting's discussion that a wooden guardrail would be safe enough for the current project, and I don't think dismissing cosmetic concerns is as trivial as Mr. Moore seems to imply. When we purchased the property, it was represented that the guardrail was a temporary protection measure, and that we should discuss the matter with the board to get it replaced with what's in the approved plans. We contacted Mr. Skalkwick, the Director of Public Works, and he agreed with us that the present state of the guardrail was not up to spec. We also have, in addition to the cosmetic issue, while we were talking about safety, the current guardrail is very rusty and it's very easy to cut yourself on it. And we have several people living in the homes right adjacent to the guardrail. So we're honestly more concerned about this security, safety aspect of it than it not conforming to highway levels of speed necessarily. Honestly, all we want is the guardrail to conform to what's in the plans. If there's a supply issue right now, we notified Mr. Moore back in, was it February? February, I think. We notified Mr. Skalkwick right around that time as well. The plans were approved, I believe, in, was it 2016 originally? It seems to me there's been plenty of time to install the proper guardrails in place, notwithstanding the current supply issues with the COVID.
Thank you.
I am Nick Newman. I live at 123 Pleasant Street. Kind of on the same train of thought as Andre. I have 2 small children, a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. Obviously, the 2-year-old's not out running around by himself yet. But yes, that is a concern of ours. Having the rusty guardrail directly adjacent to our yard. We are outside watching the kids, but who's to say what kids can get into, right? So that is one of our biggest concerns, and obviously it is not very appealing to look at. Looking out the front of our house, we have big rusty guardrail. I don't think it adds anything visually to the neighborhood having that remaining. Whenever we were looking at the property, I don't think anybody actually said it was temporary. I think that was an assumption that I made based on the fact that we were given a set of the site plans early on during the signing of the purchase and sale whenever I was buying the property. And plain as day in the plans, it's a wooden guardrail, and just the street over, Nashua Street, a lot of those homes were built by Seal Harbor as well. I'm not sure if CJ Moore did the site development or what, but they have wooden guardrails, so we were kind of under the assumption that, hey, the plans show wooden guardrails, Nashua Street is finished, it's been finished for a while. We assumed that that's what it was going to look like. So.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep, thank you.
Any questions for Nick? Sorry, I forgot. Didn't mean to skip you. Any questions for Andre and Nick on the board side?
No, I don't.
No. Thank you for coming
I
again.
just have a couple of other things that just dawned on me.
We'll give you a moment. You'll get your time.
You got some-
Would anyone else like to speak? Yeah, please.
So,
Hello.
hello. Yeah, my name is Francis, 122. Mine is more safety concern. I have 2 kids, 7-year-old and 3-year-old now. So one of the day I watched the little one. He's training how to ride a bike. He almost flew to the metal last thing. So I could not imagine him going head first. He had a helmet, but still, it was still a more safety concern for me. Also, looking at it, the last things, I don't think that belong to the residential place.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We can just ask you to speak a little louder. Or did you have any more to add, Francis?
No, that's all.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for Francis? Thank you.
Thank you.
Calvin?
I heard the word a couple times, assumptions. And you know the definition of assumptions, but they talk about the rust on the guardrails. I understand that, but I'd rather have my son or daughter have a little rust on their hands instead of a pressure-treated sliver stuck into their fingers. So I'm really not sure I can buy the rust on a safety issue versus a pressure-treated sliver. Again, it's solely aesthetics on someone's personal opinion. I get it. I've been there before. I've been on both sides of the aesthetic issue. I get it. But not in this case on when we put something in that's like in kind or similar. What we put in is far exceeds. We had permission from the DPW. Just don't put the shiny ones in. And if the shiny ones were put in, I'd agree with everything that they said. It'd look horrible. But there's only two alternatives, shiny or rusty. That's it, that we know of. So, and the comment was made that the wooden rails are safe enough. Well, as an installer or developer or whatnot, I can't go good enough because of liability issues. We have to know that it meets or exceeds state or local, especially state, regulations to go in there. And the rusty, it does conform to state regulations because they do install them. So I guess I got to go back to is that it's like in kind, it's safer, it's less maintenance, it's stronger, it's going to last more. I know I'm going to be lasting. It's going to be lasting a lot more than anybody in this room versus the wooden rails. I've been in wood and lumber all my life. I know how long that stuff lasts.
Noted.
And on the seller side, I hope it doesn't last long, so we sell it again, but that's besides the point. But it doesn't last where the metal does. And the town is doing it all over their projects, just as I mentioned about the curbing and the curbing and the light poles, etc. Then it's not fair that they can and we can't.
Can you tell us of a residential neighborhood in which the town has used?
I knew that was coming, and
Well, you brought it up, sir.
I know, but I will come back next meeting and I'll give you every one of those ones. And we talked about curbing. I can name you a lot of curbing places around town.
We're not talking about curbing. We're talking about the guardrail.
Wood versus metal?
We're talking about the guardrail.
Okay, what about it? Ask me the question again.
The question is, where in town have you seen a residential neighborhood where the town has put in a steel or rusty steel?
Maybe not in a residential neighborhood, but on town streets, yes.
Well, I think a neighborhood is substantially different from any other uses. There are multiple uses in town. We do expect different standards, but ultimately it comes down to this, Calvin. What's in the site plan that's been approved?
But no, wait a minute. But it is still a public way. Neighborhood or not, it's a public way.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
excuse me,
sir.
may I ask?
And I also have some.
Yes. I'll not Jeff first, then Julie.
Thanks. So, you've insisted, Calvin, that the steel rail that is currently there meets state and federal guidelines for safety.
Absolutely.
Did the wooden rail that was in the plans meet state and federal guidelines for safety?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you.
Julie?
That was one of my questions. Stole it.
We far exceed, but go ahead.
Okay. So the wood one was there. Sorry, we just asked that question. If you don't mind to review to Mark, but can you clarify a little more for me that the understanding that this was in the plan? I don't even quite understand why this is up for discussion if we had agreed upon it on the plan. So could you give me a little more background on
I'll just ask
why we're
Calvin to
having a
lift
discussion
his arms up,
when the wood rail is what we?
Here's the subdivision site plan for that subdivision.
Yep.
And where this appears is on one of the detail sheets, which
Right.
specify the construction of all the, engineering aspects. And right here, it gives the specs for the guardrail with
Yeah.
pressure-treated wood.
Right.
So my understanding is that if something appears on a plan sheet, it should be part of that's how it should be constructed.
Right. So with that understanding, we would expect that to be followed in order to have this discussion.
Yeah, and my understanding is any deviations from an approved plan,
Yeah.
If they're deemed to be a major change,
Yeah.
should require an amendment by the planning board.
Okay.
But isn't it similar in kind? Is allowable?
I
Sure it is.
do not know. I do not know.
I do feel, Mr. Chair, that as you're saying, the difference of a neighborhood and a development versus other areas is a valid conversation for similar in kind, because it's not similar in kind.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Andre?
Yes.
Did you have a question, sir?
More of a comment. More of a comment
Please.
about what Mr. Moore just said. A couple of things. So one,
If you could speak a little louder, sir.
of course, it's not just about the rust. It's also it's very sharp now. that's what I am concerned about. I'm not going to assume about the others. Just a couple months ago, there were a few children, not the ones from our street, who were actually standing on top of the vertical beams supporting the guardrails. And that seems more hazardous to me than, the equivalent with Parkville. Also, I think it's something we discussed at last month's meeting, but there is no written record of the exchange that Mr. Moore thinks between his son and the previous director of the Department of Public Works. I believe Dan Stalford was here, and Dan Stalford actually contacted his predecessor who had no recollection, verbal or mental, of such an exchange.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts? Calvin, this is where it seems to stand for me. One is, you got a group of very unhappy property owners who want something that was on the plan. And it's there in black and white. And, I want to know, what are you going to do to make them happy?
Paint it. I don't know. No, we were just trying to do meet or equal in going through. And to Andre's thing is that the DPW and these boards, we do a lot of things verbally around the ice cooler or whatever. It never gets in writing. That's just the way we've always worked in a small town. And
No, that's not the way
I
this
would
board
contest
works.
that too.
well, all right, forget it. But
never
I
read that.
know the DPW, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus. We know what was said, so that's fine. If he doesn't remember it, that's fine. I'm not going to hold him to it. It's just that that's the way we've done a lot of things in town. It's a small town, and been here for 60 years, and that's just the way a lot of things are done,
Yeah, but they're not the way they're done anymore.
unfortunately. Well, maybe both ways. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going by. Now we just got the brand new hot top pavement in there today, or yesterday or today. But pulling those up, it's just not going to work. And I'm afraid of that.
But
Excuse me, Julie, yes?
may I respond? But
Please.
respectfully, you knew this conversation's been going on for months, and so if that really was a concern, Calvin Moore, you would have waited to see how this discussion went through. So it still feels like we were open to having this discussion. We were even open to, I know what it's like with small children. You came twice. I have trouble coming to these meetings. You're here twice. And to put something in today before a decision's been made to say that's why it's too hard to take it out is a little hard to hear.
Well, we weren't invited to the first meeting.
I understand, but
And
you
we-
knew you were coming tonight and you put
Tonight,
it in today.
but we could not postpone the pavement any longer. They've got to schedule steps right on out through the summer. But we did postpone, I know at least once, but I think twice, we postponed for a week and postponed it for another week. We just couldn't do any more. And that's why, on the first meeting, it could have been, okay, we don't have a choice, stop the pavement.
But conversations on the
Thank you,
table.
Julie. Thank you, Calvin. Yes, please. And would you identify yourself and
Sure, Yana Kors, I'm at 124 Pleasant Street. I have a couple comments. One is, I would like to know why is it hard to take the guardrail out? It's nowhere very near the new pavement, so I don't really see the concern. And second, I called CJ, your son, pretty much late January or early February, raising this issue with him. So this is definitely nothing new. We said straight to him on the phone that we will demand what's in the plan. So he knew that we are not gonna let this go. So I don't think this is surprise. And I think us, for whatever reasons we have, I don't think that's really actually an issue. We are just simply demanding what's in the plans. And whatever reasons we have, I don't think that's really actually that important. We just simply want the cul-de-sac to look as it was presented to us on the plans. If we want to resell the house, I don't think I'm gonna sell my house. I bought it for $756,000, and now I have a rusty guardrail in front of it. And I don't think somebody's gonna give me that money with this guardrail in front of it, I'm sorry. So I just simply don't see any reason why we are having this discussion and discussing reasoning. I don't think it's important. Important it is. It's in the plan since 2016, and that's what we want in the cul-de-sac. Simple as that.
Thank you.
thank you. Any further comments?
What about the steel post staying in and just the rails replaced?
I'm not an engineer, but
You know, Mark talked about a win-win situation in his letter to me. If the post comes up, you're gonna have undermining, you could have undermining
Yeah, I'm
of,
wondering aloud if there's a way to do a hybrid situation.
well, if you pull the post up, you're gonna have an undermining issue on that pavement.
Are the posts set in concrete?
I don't know, but
I didn't see I don't know
I
the
don't know.
installation detail. I don't know, that's one, I mean.
that'd be
sorry.
pulling up a lot harder.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. to
no,
jump in
please
like
go
that.
ahead. Jeff, did you have something more to say? Is it?
No,
Yep.
oh, Mr.
Jeff,
Diskin.
Jeff.
No one's gonna climb on the post, I wouldn't think.
I didn't hear you?
Well, they mentioned about the kids climbing up on the
But
rails.
that's not the,
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
They were actually standing on
I can't get my thought, my thoughts not gelling, so
Okay,
go
well,
ahead. Yeah.
so Jeff, we'll give
I'm
you a
trying to
pause.
take notes at
Yep.
the same time, so.
That's cool. Meanwhile, Nick,
Yes. I mean, I haven't dug around the post, but it would appear that they're driven by.
they're what? They're driven?
Yeah, they're driven by.
They usually pile them.
Yeah, that's the question I had, and it would,
It doesn't, I mean, you can't, unless they dug down, put the concrete footer in, and then backfilled over it. I would say it's unlikely they did it that way, but, by just looking at it from the roadway, it looks like.
it's just not, it's an unknown, so,
So-
it doesn't impact the way I'm thinking, but it's unknown, okay.
So it sounds like there's a compromise on the table. The current post and a wood rail. Is that correct? So I have a few questions regarding that. One, Mark, would such a thing, if it were agreed upon, be acceptable within a regulatory framework, or would we need to get something from DPW? Would we need anything further?
Yeah, I think with the regulatory framework, it's fine. I spoke with Dan today, he could not make it this evening, but he did say that if there's some sort of compromise that's acceptable to everybody and it meets all the crash standards, that he would like to review anything that is proposed.
Okay, that makes sense.
But that's assuming that everybody is agreeable to that.
I know I can't comment and vote on the issue, but I have a thought on the compromise if it's possible. I don't know legally if I can.
Yeah,
If we
more of an
could,
engineering line.
if we could get the DPW to, if there's a standard, I'm pretty sure there will be a standard,
Yeah.
to use
Yeah.
the same post. And we look at the elevation so that the top of the post is, the guardrail itself is a fraction higher than the top of the post.
Equal to or higher than the top?
Equal to or higher than it. So we don't have a situation where the post is
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna discover, yeah, those are metal, currently metal posts in the ground over there.
Say again,
They're
please.
currently metal posts, I-beam posts?
They're probably I-beam type
Yeah,
posts.
the I-beam posts,
I-beam,
that's
that's-
probably, yeah.
I've got it up.
Yeah, okay, man.
So, okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna put it on the big
One
screen.
moment,
Can we
Andre,
just
just
put
want
it on the
Mr.
big
Diskin to finish and
screen?
I'll turn to you.
Okay, then if there were a solution where the posts themselves were painted
We can pull it up.
so
if you
that they were
want.
black, something like that,
On that.
or a gray, steel gray, something like this,
We'll put it on the Mondo board.
would that make any
I'll
sense?
show you.
No, it wouldn't.
It would make any sense, okay. Doesn't make any sense.
So don't put it up, don't put the picture up.
No, I put it up.
Okay.
Do you have?
You wanna just give me the keyboard, is that okay?
Yeah.
Give me
Do you
the,
need the
give
internet?
me the interweb.
Okay.
While we're waiting for that to load,
Yeah, it's-
look, I just want to make this general comment. I think the best outcome would be for the Moores and the neighbors
Google.
to arrive at an understanding, at a compromise or understanding that's agreeable to both parties. And then to come to us and say, this is the proposal. So that DPW can review it, we can review it, and we can move forward. That seems to be the best outcome I can imagine from this. Any thoughts? And this, I'm opening up to Calvin.
I'm just wondering what their opinion is right now on using the same post and putting the new rails up. I'm afraid of pulling those posts up, and I don't want to pull those posts up because it's too many issues involved.
Okay, excuse me, Cal.
I
Yes,
gotta
Andre?
say, the posts that are currently in place, not look like those. They're I-beams.
Yeah, this,
Okay.
Like this.
Yes.
But this,
I'm all right.
I'm sorry. There we go.
There you go.
Right, yeah. has
Like that?
Yes. But, I mean, they also look like a safety hazard to me, like the children that I mentioned on February. In fact, they're actually standing on top of the I-beams themselves. And I was afraid, you know, if you slip and you fell,
You could slip and fall on any post.
well, some are worse than others. I would much rather
Yeah, I know, but then where's your parents? Keep them in your yard, not my property.
okay, hold it, ease up, everybody. This is gonna stay civil.
You know, I can go along with replacing the rails, I think, but I can't go along with replacing the post. I can't.
So,
So if I may, Mr. Chair.
please, Jeff.
I haven't heard enough information for me to change the vote of the unanimous support of the board of building to plan.
Right,
I haven't heard.
that was my question.
Okay, and so puts me in a tough situation. I recognize and understand what's happening here. I recognize and understand your points. I recognize and understand your points. We have a classic situation where parties may or may not have the communication, and we don't have that information right now. The input from Dan at DPW about what the replacement would be, it's of interest to me, but I don't think it's germane to whether or not I change my decision about it. And that's where I come out right now, to be honest with you. Yes, working to compromise is often a great solution, and I'm not putting that away. I don't think that's an unattainable position. But also coming into the meeting tonight, it was a black and white, and now we're talking about
Right.
the middle ground. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
By the way, sorry.
We can hear you.
So I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. What do you think,
Do
Julie?
you mind, Mr.
No,
Chair?
of course not.
I think similarly, I'm still kind of with that question of this was on the plan and we agreed to this. My concern as a voting member of this board is where is my line of the next time something's not right on the plan that we have already signed off on. Well, we made adjustments because it was already built, because it just, I feel, puts me in a compromising position the next time we're looking at what we've agreed to on a plan and where we're at. So that's my concern with this vote.
And Francis,
Yeah, I just wanted
if you
to
could speak loud, please.
I just wanted to make a comment. It's a bit disingenuous for Mr. Moore. He knew this was going to come up today, and he went ahead and paved the main adjournment. It's a bit disingenuous for him to do that.
Some of us had, I'm sorry, may I speak?
Yes, please.
Some of us had to walk home because we couldn't drive out of our
We
garage.
didn't know this was gonna be
Oh.
done
Yes,
today.
we were actually
You were
traveling
paved in.
and came in today to find the street being paved in front of our garage. And weren't able to get our vehicle up with the next meeting.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Julie, but on your question about approving a prior set, but this is site-specific. It doesn't set a precedence for everybody else in town. It's site-specific.
Yeah, but the next time it's site-specific on something else and somebody's built one thing that they want and not the next thing that they want,
But that's why you have the board.
I understand. And so what I'm
Site-specific.
saying is I don't know that this has met a specific criteria for me to change what was on the plan. I understand we had a shortage of something, and then I understand if we're looking at temporary options, that maybe we could have done something different here to be more true to what the plan was, rather than ask everyone else to make.
So,
So if
I was gonna say-
if I can weigh in first,
Please.
Mr. Chair. Because, so of the quorum here, so 2 members have spoken. I want to throw in mine too, and show my cards, because you guys have shown your cards. Here are my cards. You know, my feeling is, my default is to go with the plan. It's in the plan, it should be, that's the way it is. However, I am open to seeing, to approving something or accommodating something, as long as it satisfies the concerns of the neighbor and the neighbors and property owners. And that's why I said, as the best option that I can see is Calvin, work it out with them. Arrive at something and come to us and say, this is where we are. Because if you can tell from the temperature in the room, otherwise it sounds like that the mood is to go with the plan.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
That's pretty much, Mr. Chair, what I was going to say. I think we've now heard both sides. I don't think we've been convinced to change our spots. And through you, Mr. Chair, is it something that the residents are willing to work on?
That's my next question. For the residents in the room, is that an acceptable proposal to you, to meet with the Moores and discuss and arrive at a solution? Or no, the plan is the plan?
And may I say one more thing?
Please do.
With the caveat being that a conversation takes place, and it may be individual between me and Dan, the DPW, but what is the kind of removal and replace what we're looking at? I mean, I'm not familiar with the machines that do this kind of work. And Calvin, you know I've been in construction and paving for a long time. I've been that guy who's forgotten to tell residents they can't drive home. It's a really good thing on a hot day to stay off new pavements. Just let it set. Sorry about that. So I just don't know the amount of disruption or what will happen. And that would be something I'd like to look into.
Right, and of course, anything that...
If indeed it is an acceptable solution to both parties.
Right, and the other caveat, of course, whatever solution have to be reviewed by DPW, all the standard processes.
I'm going to have to watch this meeting to take notes now.
It's too bad we weren't invited to the first meeting, and then
But that's water under the bridge, and here we are now.
Excuse me.
No, but I mean, that would have helped Julie out.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
the letter went to CJ back in the DPW in April or March. This has been on, we appreciate we weren't all in the room before, but I think we're trying to accommodate that right now.
Understand.
Fair enough?
Well, I was just replying to Julie's issue here.
I gotta put that one behind me. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
You know, we're trying to meet town meeting, we got a lot of trees to put in, and we got a whole lot of other little fine prints here that we're trying to get done for the fall town meeting, and we're just running out of time. Putting the rails in, it's gonna be a lot of work, that can get done a whole lot quicker than,
While you speak, I'm a little bit disappointed if I may.
you know, I can go along with the rails, but I'm not sure I can go along with the posts. I just answer your question.
So if the residents are looking for us to vote tonight, is that what we are expected to do, or how do we proceed, Mr. Chair?
I need some advice. Please, Mark.
Get a sense from them if they're willing to work on something. And if so, then we will need a design from the Moores, and then we bring that to Dan first, and then it has to come back to the planning board.
If I
I
may.
recognize, yes, go ahead.
If I may, I'm sorry. I believe a cut sheet. In the industry, a cut sheet is a description of the product, both installed and what you need to install it. It's a diagram and a description. That picture that's in these plans probably came from a cut sheet. I personally would be able to work with a cut sheet as opposed to a whole new set of plans.
Oh yeah, we don't need a whole new plan.
Okay.
We need the detail
Okay.
sheet
Yeah.
that this is on. I have it bookmarked right here. That's what that's for.
Yep.
So,
But
right there.
yeah. Don't wait for me. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at something.
I would prefer not to push this to a vote tonight. I would really prefer that the parties get together and really try to hash out something. I think it's in everyone's interest to do that.
All right, thank you for your time.
Excuse me, this,
I get it off the tape. I gotta do the minutes. We don't have Heather anymore. She's a conservation agent now.
oh, here's
Charlie might be grumpy for a while. It's a good move for
Let me
her.
ask you something, and this is, would it be acceptable, was it the paint, to replace the rail in front of the homes, but leave the railing that's around the retention basin and paint that?
We would just like to stick with the plan. That way we also have to go back to the planning board with any new solutions to get everything validated. I mean, why were the existing guardrails put in place if they're not what's in the plan?
And nothing
I mean,
in writing was approved.
Nothing was
so-
approved. It's more work to do so now, but why were they put in place in the first place?
I can't answer that, but it was, in the post,
A question of fairness, how is it fair to us? And now, that it's too late to change the plan because, all this work has been done, the streets have been paved, that were just paved today.
well, then it's gonna be an unaccepted road. If they're pulling the post up and putting new ones in ruins that pavement, then it's gonna be a non-accepted road.
That is not our fault. I mean, you
You
mentioned
lived there
fairness
since
before.
junior,
Okay.
but no, so.
Okay, hold on. Conversation's gone too far.
I just thought it'd be a good idea and a good compromise, and Mark asked for it, a win-win for everybody. And putting in the wood rails for the current posts, I think that's a great win-win. Are you in favor of that or against
I
that?
mean, I can't recall how the posts look like right now, so I would have to look at it first.
Too many weeds in front of the posts are ideal.
Okay, so what I'd like, go ahead, Julie.
I'm sorry. I don't know, as a board member, I'm not comfortable with leaving the meeting with the statement, they both need to work together to find a compromise. I am okay leaving this meeting and saying we need more information as board members. Jeff and I have had questions and we could seek more information, or Mr. Moore can go and find more information to continue this conversation here. But I don't feel comfortable asking the residents to figure out their own compromise here. They've come here, they've stated their point, and this is not on them to have these conversations outside of here. It's not something I would be willing to do as a resident, and I think that we've said we would handle that here, and I think it should be handled here.
Okay, well said. Any further thoughts, Jeff?
No,
Thank you for your
not at this
time.
time.
Thank you.
So
Calvin.
what do we wish to do? Are we interested in calling a vote, or would you like 2 weeks for more information?
Postpone the meeting, be the easiest.
Well, we meet in 2 weeks. Do you think,
What's going to be different in 2 weeks? That's what I wonder.
Well,
I hear you.
I'd show a cut sheet on hopefully the win-win situation. And as long as, you got vacations too coming up with people. We'll do our best to get a cut sheet in for a win-win situation and something that's attainable before town meeting. And the lack of damage that would be done to the hot top. I'm not gonna ruin that hot top. I'll say that right now in public record. We're not gonna ruin that road. Because it'll be up to us to replace it, and that ain't gonna happen. And I do not want another Madigan Lane. So I think a win-win situation is that, just like that picture up there. If you go up there, I was up there a couple days ago, there's so many weeds around, you don't even hardly see the guardrail. So covering up some of the I-beams is, so be it. But I think that's a great compromise, so that we can get it done and get before town meeting for a town-accepted road.
Yes, please.
Just wanted to add that the weeds is there because we are waiting for you to finish the project, so we know,
Well
where
said.
you're gonna
Well
put
said.
things.
Well
and,
said.
Well said. Well said.
We are
Yes,
going
sir.
in circles.
I have to go get Concom.
There's no clutter in this room for you, Calvin.
I gotta go
I'm
get.
sorry, it's just,
So,
The hot tub was just
Okay.
put in
Andre,
today.
yes.
The hot tub was just put in today. We've actually,
lived there since January.
since January, we've first engaged with your son and Skakwick back in late January, early February. I
We have all
don't
this
think
time,
it's.
you assuming that you are gonna get away with this metal, guardrail, which was never approved.
That's not true.
In written,
That's not true.
Hold
in
on.
writing.
We're moving in the right, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I think what I'm trying to say is this. I don't understand the amount, if it will indeed damage or not, the property. The question I have is, if it has to be done to plan, how soon the work can be accomplished
versus if there was a compromise solution, how soon the work could be accomplished? Would 2 weeks of time make that much difference?
Get out of here.
To let us get more research done?
It seems like those 2 weeks would be put better use to figure out how to replace the posts and guardrail, like what's in the plan, rather than finding alternative solutions.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider it to be win-win. It would be a win-lose.
Win-win for you because
I mean, honestly,
and I-
it's reckoned as a stalling tech.
So it sounds to me, Mr. Chair, that the neighbors are not interested in a compromise solution. I have not heard enough information to change a vote right now
Me neither.
from being on a plan. Looking for a compromise seems like an opportunity. And the question of the unknown for me right now is what is going to be involved in the process of pulling out what's there and putting something in, replacing it with the stuff. And will that impact the long term, the other dominoes downstream? I just don't know.
Would you prefer
I
another 2
would,
weeks?
I would like to move that we put this on the table until the next meeting and get some information from the DPW.
Is that a motion?
I would make that motion, yes.
Before we,
We have a-
Yes.
I just want to point something out on the plan, if
Yeah.
I might, even, there's no comment here, because the plan is right here. So on the plan, the post that are called for, hard to believe, is a 12 by 10 wood post.
Hmm?
If I was to take that I-beam and scab lumber around it to make it look like a wood post and cap it accordingly with some carpentry, could I then make that I-beam look like a wooden post? And then in turn put your thought of the rail, in essence, not the applicant, the owner, could potentially do a mock-up of the carpenter, and I know he knows plenty of carpenters, of what that could look like. And then maybe the board, and the DPW, and the neighbors, and the owner could look at a mock-up and find out, if that's close enough to a wooden guardrail built on an existing I. No comment on that.
I appreciate
I
that.
can't vote on it.
I understand that. Similar to, and I think Mr. Calvin, you know about this, put a vinyl fence in, you drop a wooden post in, you sleeve it with vinyl on top. You'd ultimately end up with a wood-wood solution. We wouldn't go through the process of destroying it. I've got to believe a piece of heavy equipment's going to have to come in. It's probably a tracked heavy equipment that's going to be on the asphalt.
It will.
There's cribbing and stuff like that you can do to repair it, but that would be, in my eyes, punitive to the developer because it could damage the road, which you may not be aware of right now, if I may, Mr.
Please
Chair.
go ahead.
Every proponent has to build a road that is acceptable to the community. Mr. Moore has referred to Madigan Lane more than once. I've sat in this room and not accepted roads that have been not just his projects, but other projects because the roads got into disrepair before the town got around to looking at them, or the roads were not built to the level they have to be built at. This is something codes have changed over the years, and what happens is we as taxpayers, and this isn't the planning board or you, it's everyone pays the money to replace those roads faster. We don't want to do that. Okay? We got to think about the long-term game here too. So I'm intrigued by the idea of trying to sleeve it, and I think Mr. Moore wrote
I
that
see
down.
one person nodding.
So
Any other?
And I'm not
sorry,
going
Jeff, I didn't
to
mean to cut
ask
you
for a
off.
straw poll right now. I'm not even sure it can be done, but I like thinking it through.
Well, what I want to know is there enough interest in the idea to make it worthwhile waiting 2 weeks? That's my question. Is this something worth considering? Yes, sir.
I would like to see it.
Like to see a drawing of it or some kind of mock-up?
I'm all right with that.
Calvin, what do you think?
Mock up on the job site or bringing it in here?
Gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen.
What would
men.
I think it would make sense to do it at the job site.
Problem is I'd have to take a rail down to do it. Let me just, I know what you're looking for, just,
Think about it, Calvin. Can you get back to us with an answer?
yeah,
Call get in touch with Mark at the office.
yeah, let me just, yeah,
And
just
we'll
get
be
it.
back in touch with you about that.
Would that be acceptable?
And we'll find a time we can meet. I'm sorry, Mr.
No,
Chair.
I love this, please.
This is way.
I'm
This is
looking
way.
for a way
I
to-
never did this in the
Let's
5
do
years
this.
I was here. So
Let's do this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
is that looking like a road that's worth traveling down? Okay.
it's a smarter road.
So we do have a motion.
So I'd like to, let me repeat that, excuse me. Move to put this idea on the table while Mr. Moore comes up with a possible solution of, I'm gonna call it sleeving the current uprights to attach wooden guardrail to it.
Okay.
That we can all take a look at and discuss. Fair enough?
Okay.
I got 4 shaking heads, wow.
Do I have a second
In
motion?
the same direction?
Second.
Do we need to make a motion on a discussion?
We're just gonna continue this one. That's all we're
Sure,
gonna do.
seconded.
All right.
Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
And
thank
so-
you.
And so, and all in favor, continue?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
And aye, all in favor, it's aye, it's done.
I abstain.
And of course, yep, you recused yourself.
Ken, you brought up the great idea.
All right,
He
thank
does
you,
that,
everybody.
surprisingly.
Um,
Careful, Calvin.
Thanks for coming.
I actually, I want to thank all of you. Thank you for coming.
I'll see you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I want to thank everyone
Thank
who
you.
showed up. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye,
Calvin.
Calvin.
I'm going to call a 5-minute recess.
Okay.
We'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the meeting to order, to resume the meeting. And the next topic is our public hearing. Do I need a motion to open the public hearing?
Yeah. once
So
we-
moved.
once we-
Seconded.
Yeah, once we get to-
Any discussion?
I have to read the,
No,
do we have an announcement for this?
Has to be-
Oh, yeah, there is a legal ad.
Where is it? Is it on the website?
It should
Ayer
be,
dot
under
US.
P. I meant to put that today. when I-
It's
Goodness
okay,
gracious.
hold on, hold on, guys.
Oh, yeah, it's on the
Interweb.
planning board's website for tonight. Yeah, it should be.
So we're just waiting a moment to bring that notice up so our clerk can read it into the record.
Yeah, do that, and there's, planning board, it should, there was a notice itself.
Nothing.
No. Right. It's just the.
I don't have access to the planning drive from down here, so.
Boy, I have it upstairs.
You want to take a moment to go? I'm very sorry.
Yeah, boy.
Another moment, please.
So, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chair, later on our agenda, while Mr. Archambault goes to get this for the hearing to be opened, I'd like to withdraw my motion to open the hearing.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And can we address
Yeah.
something else on the agenda?
Yeah, you
please?
could go,
Okay.
yeah, move on.
I was going to ask if the MRPC appointment
Oh, yeah.
representative of the commission, MJTC, what is the?
That's the joint transportation.
Okay.
So, so what we're doing is while Mark is getting the ad for the public hearing, we're just moving along to a different part of the agenda. So we need 2 representatives. One is a representative of the MRPC, and I believe that would be a shared responsibility. You would like to do that?
Yes.
I nominate Jeff.
Seconded.
Let's, can we?
Yeah.
I actually filled out the paperwork at
Great.
the last meeting, so.
So, all in favor of Jeff?
Discussion.
Yeah, discussion?
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Yeah, we've nominated Jeff as the representative to both
No.
or one.
One.
At this point, I'm going to ask, I want to do MRPC. Okay?
MRPC is what
The
we're
Joint
looking at.
Transportation Committee, nope,
Mark will do it.
good, okay.
Okay, so we're voting on Jeff's appointment to represent the town, not just his board, but the town.
Right, but he'll share the with the.
Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission.
Correct, the MRPC, that's correct.
Yes.
I'd rather use the full title.
The Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission. And-
As many of you know, I have contact with the Massachusetts Regional
Yeah, I
Planning
know.
Commission
You got, you
on many
know,
levels, you know, the things I do, so this is not a lot more to add to the plate.
okay. Any discussion about Jeff's nomination?
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to call a vote, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye, unanimous. Congratulations, Jeff, thank you. Mark has expressed interest in the appointment to represent the town for the MJTC. He says it's more technically oriented, it's more up his alley.
Nice.
He sounds like the appropriate candidate.
Thank you, Mark.
Do we have a nomination?
Move to let the town planner be the board's representative on the Montezuma Joint Transportation Committee.
Seconded.
Seconded. Any discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye, it's unanimous.
Cool.
Congratulations, Mark. We'll tell him when he gets here, but he's,
Yeah. Let's,
so there's the town plan
Can
update?
I make a motion to approve the minutes
Yes.
of
Wait a
May
minute.
24th?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can
the
I make
motion.
a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 24th, 2022?
second.
Discussion.
Thank you for your corrections, Jonathan.
So, just the discussion will be I think will be brief. I just made 2 minor edits. I just want to call them to your attention so that it's consistent with your copy. On the second page, 1, 2, 3, under where it says Air Solar 2, that second line, the project is not progressing, has had a few issues on site. Took out the word and added a semicolon. And then further down, where you see the bold print under board reorganization, I just added the word with so that Mr. Kranz mentioned that he spoke with Chairman Tillotson. Those are the only 2 changes.
Thank you.
So I'm looking for a motion for it as amended.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, no nays. The minutes have been approved, and I need to sign them?
Yes.
And there's a 3rd page for your signature.
And I put the date in here?
Please.
Today's
Yes,
date,
yes,
which is
yes.
6.
And I'm going to ask a procedural question. Typically, my understanding of the minutes is they go upstairs, they get scanned, a copy goes to the clerk.
Yes, okay.
I believe we can find out exactly what happens to them, but
Yeah.
just don't want to lose
So
those.
I'd like to
And minutes.
bring our town planner up to date.
Which you can tell me.
Oh,
What's that?
Okay.
While you were out, we appointed Jeff to represent us
Yeah.
at the MRPC
Yeah.
and you for the MJTC.
Sure.
Congratulations.
All right.
Thank you, Mark. And we also just approved the meeting minutes. So now we can go back to the public hearing, and we're going to,
we have the notice.
we have the notice. And would the clerk be so kind as to read the notice into the record?
Yes, I would like to move to open the public hearing for the open space residential development draft regulations.
Seconded. Sorry, I thought you were reading.
And do we go into discussion first, or you read it first?
Let me read the
Thank
thing.
you.
Public hearing, notice for an amendment to the Ayer subdivision regulations. Town of Ayer Planning Board public hearing notice. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, MGL, Chapter 41, Section 81Q, the Ayer Planning Board will hold a public hearing at 6:15 p.m. on Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, in the first floor meeting room at the Ayer Town Hall, 1 Main Street, Ayer, Mass., to adopt open space residential development regulations and design guidelines as part of Ayer's subdivision regulations. A copy of the proposed OSRD regulations and design guidelines can be viewed at the Town of Ayer website at https://www.ayer.ma.us or obtained at the offices of the Ayer Town Clerk and Planning Department at the Ayer Town Hall, 1 Main Street, Ayer, Massachusetts, during normal business hours.
Thank you, Jeff. So we have motions open to a vote. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye, unanimous. There's no one else here, so there's no count for the nays. So it's officially open. This is how it's going to work. We're going to get a presentation from the town planner. It's going to put this into context and explain the process and where we are. And then we'll open it up for discussion, questions from the board to the town planner and then to the public, Sarah. And you'll have opportunity.
Okay, I'll stand. I'd like a little bit to project to the large crowd that we have. I want to thank, first of all, before I get into the details, we had a working group comprised of Jonathan Krantz here, Ken Diskin, Jess Gugino from the Conservation Commission, John Smallenberger from the Conservation Commission, Dan Van Schalkwick, DPW Director, and myself, who worked on these regulations over a period of several months. And we finally got them in final form a few weeks ago, and so we're having the public hearing. Let's see, do this. Okay, so I want to give a little context and purpose of these regulations and design guidelines in relation to our existing portfolio of bylaws and regulations. These regulations and design guidelines, I'll just shorten them to be regs later. They're intended to supplement the OSRD section of the air zoning bylaw, is a new section of the subdivision regulations. So if you look at the subdivision regulations now, there's a placekeeper on the back of them for these regulations. It was the intent of the zoning bylaw when we had a consultant writing this, that there would be regulations to supplement the OSRD. And the reason is the bylaw itself talks about the requirements for OSRD subdivisions and that you have to do a conservation analysis, you have to do a development impact statement. But the bylaw itself does not provide much for guidance on what you need to submit to the planning board or to the Conservation Commission in that case. What sort of submittal requirements you need, what sort of criteria the planning board should be looking at. So without these regulations, there is little guidance on the details that we really need to dive into.
Excuse me, Mark, I just want to underline something here.
Yes.
So these development of regulation design guidelines were understood from day one, as soon as we opened the OSRD process, that we would get to this point, and that it is a necessary and logical part for any town to be sure that they support the requirements with regulations to provide guidance on the standards. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So they provide additional standards and guidance on design issues, which are design guidelines. That's what they're called that way. And the importance of laying out OSRD subdivisions so that it's not a mystery. The regulations, though, I just want to be clear, they don't override or replace the bylaw. So this is a supplemental thing. The bylaw is still obviously in effect, but these regulations enhance what's in the bylaw. They do not reduce the number of public meetings or public hearings or opportunities for public input. Planning board cannot change those in any case. There are no rules that are being relaxed. If anything, applicants will need to prepare a more detailed analysis and provide more information as part of their application package than they do now. Because before we didn't really work with much except what we had in the subdivision regs per se, what's in the bylaw, but we didn't really have guidance as to how to meet those standards. Also, the regs do not really have anything to do with the 40B process. This is really for subdivisions only. It does not apply to commercial site plan either, unless you have sort of a weird case where you might have an industrial park subdivision. You see those in some towns, but I don't think we'll have that here. So I do have available, if people would like to see the text of the bylaw, I have that on the computer as well, but I just want us to go through the table of contents because I believe this summarizes what's in there quite well. First, we have an introduction which details the purpose that we just talked about. We have a very extensive list of definitions, and I want to thank Ken for his guidance on those, especially, and Jess, who was a brilliant wordsmith when it came to conservation-related definitions. So I think the definitions that we have in there are top-notch.
Definitely.
And then it goes into an overview of the steps in the subdivision application process. And these are based on a few things. They're based on the model that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts prepared in their Smart Growth Toolkit, it's called. The Smart Growth Toolkit they came out with about 10 years ago. So it's based on that, as well as what's known as the Randall-Arendt method of doing open space subdivisions. Randall-Arendt is a town planner who sort of really, brought this into the modern era. Before he came along, there were cluster subdivisions, but they weren't usually done very well. So he was the person that sort of codified this and came up with a scheme and a process for towns to do this.
And I believe he's recognized as a national authority.
Oh, yes. In fact, one of the last public events that I attended before the pandemic really came in was he spoke at Harvard with the invitation of the planner down there to assist them. So that was a very good presentation. So after we get to the overview of the steps, then we detail what's in the development impact statement. Basically, it's looking into such things as traffic studies, police and fire impacts, water, sewer, school children, education, all that sort of thing. The conservation analysis is focused on prioritizing what land should be preserved in a subdivision, so that the planning board can, do that according to the steps. So, in the process of detailing all this, it talks about the process, what you need to do to obtain a waiver from the regulations, the components of the development impact statement, the purpose of the conservation analysis, the submittal requirements for the conservation analysis, which I believe are 17 items. Designation of priority preservation areas and the design process. Then, thanks to Jess Gugino, I want to give her a lot of credit for this. She's quite the authority on conservation restrictions. Conservation restriction is a way to permanently protect that part of the open space that will be permanently protected. It's a legal instrument to make sure that it's not developed in the future, but it stays for conservation purposes.
And that someone's always monitoring to ensure
Right.
the agreement is fulfilled.
Right, and that's something that we go through in the definitive subdivision stage, is we want to see the conservation restriction, and we talk about monitoring the conservation restriction and that sort of thing. And then finally, we have the design guidelines, which are more like, how should the open space be configured, how should the houses be arranged, that sort of thing. And then we have guidance on the use of the density bonuses that are in section 10.15 of the Arizona bylaw. So,
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Please.
So Mark,
yes.
you were kind enough to mention people who worked on the small, group that worked,
Right.
had a couple months of work on.
Yes.
What what I'd like to add to that is that yourself and the former conservation agent, Joanne Christoph, worked for a year or more.
Yeah.
Before you asked a group of us to get together.
Yeah.
And it got typed all up.
We worked on it very slowly,
Right,
unfortunately.
but Joanne, this is largely driven by a cooperative effort that's part of the OSRD system on guideline, not guideline, but the OSA requirements that the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board work together to develop the process.
Right.
So conservation put together that, comprehensive list, we pretty much agreed with it, that this is the way to go through their conservation analysis and whatnot.
Right,
So-
yeah.
So a lot of this was done by the professionals.
That's correct.
Before it got to a
Yes.
small group, which looked paragraph by paragraph, line by line, trying to.
Yeah, what Joanne and I worked on is, as Ken mentioned in the beginning, before the pandemic, was more the conservation analysis submittal requirements. We had nothing, so people would ask us, well, what do you want for a conservation analysis? So we had to come up with something, and we didn't just come off top of our head. We did research and we found some good lists from other towns, and
We also lived through an OSRD or two,
Yeah.
which
Right.
shows us, sometimes you know where you're going, but the roadmap hasn't been written.
Exactly, and I think
Yeah.
that's an important point to underline, is that this process
Right.
comes after we've had experience, at least three of these subdivisions of OSRD. And as a consequence of those very intensive deliberations, we learned a lot, and we incorporated what we learned into this process.
Right.
Go ahead.
I want to exit from that so I can bring up the text itself, if you like.
Please, I think that'd be a good starting
Can
point.
get this thing to work here. All right, come on.
So
All
while
right,
you're
it's
doing
frozen.
that, so Mark, is that the
Yeah.
are you done with the formal presentation part?
Yes, I was going to just bring up the document itself. Is it working?
Use your tab keys.
Whoops, no.
Hit escape.
Can't. Yeah.
Escape.
Hit escape.
Yeah.
Alt. Can you have the keyboard, please?
Yeah.
There you go.
Jeff will be sent. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Mark.
there's the text that we worked on, and I want to emphasize too that we had one of the most recent planning board meetings that we had on Zoom. We had a joint meeting with the Conservation Commission where we went through this with a fine-tooth comb, and we came to agreement with the Conservation Commission on all of this.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. I just want to add that, bless you, two things that we really, I think were overall guiding principles for us. Was one, that that these guidelines be comprehensive. That we really tried to make it, I mean, inevitably there'll always be something we left out, but we really tried to think about all the scenarios and really get something as comprehensive as possible. And secondly, and even more important, is that we aim for clarity. The goal is, if we took this and handed it to an applicant, they would know what to do, step by step. That said, I'd like to open it up for disperse. I'm going to open up discussion among the board, and then we're going to invite the public, Sarah, to ask any questions and make any comments. So starting with the board. Thoughts and reflections.
My own reflection is that this is part of a set of steps that's been happening probably over 5 years. You know, starting with the bylaw changes, and then the fact that the town agreed that open space residential development is going to be our as-of-right subdivision method. And then to tie it together, as you mentioned at the beginning, I have the subdivision regulations here, because I think it's a little confusing for people. People should understand that it was always to be Appendix D.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was listed as the open space residential development guidelines for preparation of the conservation analysis originally, and now we're getting a more comprehensive
Right.
piece. So there was always a spot there in the subdivision regulations that was ready for this, but it just took time. So over a period of time, we've got, you know, zoning change approval at town meeting like 18. We ended up with the OSRD as our primary method of approving subdivisions. We added to that the subdivision regulations, which we did in the past.
That's right.
Leaving a spot for a subsection of that being the OSRD. So that's just my way of kind of tracking it out for 4 or 5 years of how this all came about. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Julie, any thoughts?
I'm just really grateful you all spent the time on this and doing it, and to be honest, good group of people. I've been interested to hear the discussion along the way.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So Ken and I were on it.
Yep.
So we're very close to it because it's part of the subgroup.
Yes.
So you have fresher eyes, Jeff has fresher eyes. So I would ask both of you, did it achieve the goal of clarity for you? At least can you anticipate that it'd be relatively easy to follow?
I thought it hit the points that we've had questions on.
Jeff, what do you think?
As soon as we get clarity, somebody's going to come up with another question for
Well, I
us.
know
But
that.
the honest truth,
Yeah.
no. And I actually thought I really enjoyed our last meeting about this when we went through
Yeah.
the draft as a group.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you haven't had a chance to see the Zoom meeting, please watch the Zoom meeting. The simple fact that having read through the entire document with my kind of editor's hat on and my, proponent's hat on, and the people who have to read this, the engineers who have to read this to figure it out, I didn't really see anything in it that was a stop. This stuff is not, it's not easy for people to do, but it lays out the process. We know what the process is. We know when we've got to get, we know when conservation, I mean, the first time the project came to us, the question of the proponent was, well, we're talking to conservation, but they don't know what to talk to us about,
Oh, right.
if you recall.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
We now have that, because it says in the regs, talk to conservation and the planning board in the beginning. No one knew. So that's not happening, which is really, really good. So I think it's a really good, I think it's a great step forward in another way to, we talk about it as OSRD, we say subdivision, we say project. Let's not lose sight on the fact that an OSRD, open space residential design project, has the ability to conserve in perpetuity more than 50% of this open space on the project. And that's the goal.
Well
As opposed to subdivisions where everyone lives on an acre of grass, grouping the homes, leaving the natural habitat as a resource for everybody. That's what OSRD does, guys.
Absolutely, and I would forgive me for being the broken record, but OSRD is a major step forward in our accomplishing stated goals in the master plan. We're preserving space and getting housing, and the OSRD is a fantastic instrument just for the reason that Mr. Tilson articulated.
I forget what the numbers we talked about last time, but I think in the last 3 projects alone, over 70% of the space remains open.
Which is an amazing accomplishment. We got the houses
And
we
the
got
number of
space.
homes and the tax, the amount of money they're gonna contribute to the tax base, it's a
Still there.
win-win-win, so.
That's great. Okay, good. Any further comments before I open it to the public?
I got one more. Julie.
One more, Ken?
So,
Ken, please.
I think we brought this is a technical only issue. And I think we talked about it before, but it may be a formatting situation. Where the actual graphics we talked about, the headline, the heading on the graphics indicates it's called conservation subdivision design.
Right.
Did we talk about that language being there to say open space residential, OSRD, or open space residential subdivision design?
We could, yeah, I mean, it would be easy enough now. Cindy was able to convert the PDFs to something I can
You see that?
modify.
I would have to agree, I would second that, because I think it would be confusing to see 2 different terms, you know, OSRD everywhere else, except you get to the graphics.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
I did remember, though, to put the source at the bottom of each one.
Yes, that's good, yeah.
So it comes from Randall and Aaron directly.
That was the
I don't know
gentleman.
if
In fact, he gave me these illustrations. He said, "You have my permission to use these."
Oh.
But, yeah,
I
so.
do think it's like, yeah, I think Ken's suggestion is a good one.
All right, so change conservation subdivision design to open space residential.
Open space residential subdivision design.
Okay, yes.
I would even take the subdivision out, if you would consider that to be friendly. OSRD is OSRD.
I just put OSRD.
Yeah,
design.
I would put it as
OSRD
OSRD throughout the document.
Yep.
'Cause
OSRD.
there are
Yeah.
very,
Yeah,
very
that's cleaner. I like it.
small differences between a subdivision and an OSRD.
Yeah, and we can do that. That's a very minor change. It doesn't change the meaning of anything.
Yes.
It's changing the name.
And that's on pages 10 and 11.
Yeah, that's all the illustrations.
Like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm looking for more of them. 10, 11,
Yeah, I can
13,
I'll catch
14,
them all. Catch them all.
Okay.
15, yeah, okay.
Any other further thoughts from the board?
How did I miss that when I read
All
through
right.
it?
We welcome the public, and sir, if you'd like to come and take a seat up here, let's all get cozy. If you just say your name and address as usual, and
Julie,
Don't.
there's already one there.
oh, there's that little
That one
one.
works as good, huh?
Sarah Withy,
I feel like I was just there 20 minutes ago.
I know.
11 Groton Shirley Road. First, I was wondering if you had that graphic that you put on the website, like the,
Oh, yeah, this one?
yeah, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Hold on. Is it
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Orlando?
that's also on there, yes.
Well,
Oh, there it is.
Right there.
Okay, so I have like 4 questions, and I've written them down so that you know that they will end. My first one's just about this process here. Like you've got 4 steps that. 5. What stage does the applicant file? Step 5, step 6. So you got 4 steps.
Yeah,
Are those
yeah.
4 steps like all out of the public view?
Actually, the very first step would be in the public view. The very first step is informal meeting with the planning board at a planning board meeting, just like we're having now, to discuss the open space design process with us. So the very first step is a public meeting where we have the applicant here before us, and they talk about, hey, I got 50 acres of land, I'd like to do a subdivision, how do I do it? So we talk to them about the OSRD bylaw, we talked to them about the regs and the process. Then the process talks about preparing a conservation analysis and the concept sketch, and they submit it to both the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. And then it's in the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction for a while. Steps 3 and 4, basically Conservation Commission. The applicant meets with the Concom in public to evaluate the conservation analysis and then hold a site walk. Step 4.
So Mark, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. So steps
Yes.
1 and 3 out of the first 3 are at public meetings.
Correct.
Now the site walk we hold separately, but it
Right,
would be
but-
discussed at the meeting before there is a site walk.
Right, the site walk should be announced at a public meeting.
Yeah.
That's what our rules say, and I'm not sure what the Conservation Commission does.
Just as a matter of
Yes.
just to understand this a little more clearly. When you use the language in step number 2 that says the applicant is clear, prepares a conservation analysis and concept sketch, submits to Concom and Planning Board. Since the Planning Board only meets in a public fashion, that has to be submitted in a public fashion to the Planning Board. We don't meet in the town hall as a Planning Board separately from
Right,
our
yeah,
scheduled
correct.
meetings.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in fact, all of that, those first 3 end up in a public meeting, not a
Right.
public hearing, but in a public forum.
Yeah.
Because we're not
Right.
meeting somewhere else to talk about things.
Right. What we're talking about as far as what we think of as, or what the public think of as a public hearing, where, that's really step 5 and step 6.
The advertise is different.
Yeah,
It
the
becomes more formal.
preliminary plan is where things begin to get official. Though we don't have a butter notification per se, though we do try to reach out to the butters, but, we follow the state law on that.
So as a matter of fact, at every one of these steps, it's public. There may not be an official public hearing until, step
Right.
5. But the truth is, all the other business is conducted publicly.
Step 1, step 5, and after step 5 are held during planning board meetings.
Right.
If you think about it, and what may be confusing people is the last one that came to us never went. The OSRD recommends a preliminary meeting and then a final application. They came to a preliminary meeting with a final application, which they actually never submitted.
Oh.
We never knew what they wanted to do because we couldn't get an answer. And if you go back in the record, you'll see me asking the proponent's attorney, how many units is it? Because we've heard 29 to 39, and we never got an answer out of that. So this entire process is intended to happen in the public. Step 2, where the applicant goes and does work, no, we're never involved in that.
Right.
Okay, is that helpful?
And I think
Yes.
the other thing that's important here is that you are trying to summarize the process in a clearer fashion, because an applicant may want to just walk into town hall and get the process going.
Oh, yeah.
And they just want to jump around.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're trying to summarize in a way that they can understand and say,
Right.
no, we don't want you just jumping around in town hall and going office and office. We
Yes.
want you to go through these steps.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Systematic.
But
And
if I may,
That's a great
Sarah,
question.
I was just gonna say, Sarah's just highlighted a great point. This is a step-by-step outline for the developer.
For both
And
sides of the
for us,
fence.
Well,
but
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think this is, well, I don't know that this is clear as a resident.
Well, it's
I-
not.
I
It's
The
not
whole thing
clear,
is
'cause-
intended for these.
Right, no, and I think it's okay
Yeah.
to say that that is, but I think
Yes.
the question kind of showed that that's not
Yeah,
necessarily.
yeah.
There's no other process that's like this process in town.
This is true.
So I'm just.
That is true, because
so-
there is no other process that is complicated, or few, I would say, that is complicated as this.
It's pretty collaborative.
Okay.
Did you have another question, Sarah?
Yeah, I have 3 more questions, and look, I checked that one off, so thank you. So what is the conservation finding?
Well,
What's an example of it?
Yeah, the conservation finding is a determination of, basically the way I think it talks about it is low, medium, and high priority areas for conservation. So you looked at a whole tract of land, like 50 acres. Some part of that 50 acres might be areas that were already disturbed by logging, or maybe somebody put a house on a part of it. So in the conservation analysis, the person doing it hopefully has credentials to do that sort of thing. Somebody trained as an ecologist will say, hey, the area that's been logged obviously is probably not as important as the primary forest that's never been logged. So, the forest that's never been logged is high priority for preservation in the open space, whereas the area that's been logged might be more suitable for the housing that's going in or something. So that's what the conservation finding is the recommendation from the Conservation Commission to the Planning Board on what lands are highest priority to preserve and which ones are not as important.
And then the planning board has to do what with that? It says,
And the planning board
Make a
basically
finding.
the planning board has to vote as to whether they accept the recommendation of the
Okay.
Conservation Commission as is, or the planning board may say, well, thank you, Conservation Commission, we agree with most of it, but we have a slight tweak or something. So basically, the planning board will then make its own finding on the recommendation from the Conservation Commission. And that will go into the record.
Okay, I'm almost done, I'm getting there.
Yep.
So what about the utility easements? Is it just like by right that, like, if somebody has like 25%? How is it gonna work if somebody has a power line easement on their property?
Yeah, we have,
That's a really, actually.
It's a complicated.
That's why I
Yeah.
put that in there.
we put that in, yeah, we put that in there because it's not all the power lines are created equal, some are much bigger. So what we have right here is on page 18 in the design guidelines. Number one, it says, unless permitted by the planning board, the area within power line and other public utility easements cannot be counted towards the minimum required percentage of open space in OSRD subdivisions. However, number two, when such power line easements are relatively narrow and comprise less than 25% of the total area proposed as open space, the planning board may, and that's the important word, may allow such land to be counted towards the minimum required open space when it finds that doing so is in the environmental and design interest of the OSRD subdivision being proposed. So that's a lot of words to say that basically if it's a pretty small power line, it's narrow, especially where you have a substory of shrubs and stuff underneath, prairie warblers, there are lots of birds that like that sort of habitat that's just relatively young trees. So that might be, an important environmental thing to acknowledge.
I think part of this was, we talked about this quite a bit as a
Right.
group.
Yeah, this was a controversial.
And we had, quite a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the main issues here was that we wanted it to be something we talked about on every single project individually.
Yep.
Right.
That we
Yes.
couldn't ever figure out how it could apply to all projects at the same time.
Right.
Exactly.
So we
Yes.
wanted to be in a position to have this language that says, if we permit it, fine, but if we don't, then you have a minimum,
Right. Yeah.
acceptable
So,
method. But it was a project, it's definitely always gonna be project by project.
If I can
Yeah.
add to that, Ken? So Sarah, the reason why it's not just a global statement is because not all the land under easements is equal. It's really case by case. There are some cases where the land under easement isn't worthy space at all, but there are others, and I can think of multiple places in there where actually it is, the land underneath is actually an important part of the natural environment, does have value. So that's why that case by case judgment is so critical, and why we don't do it by ourselves, that we get input. Thank you, sir. Yes.
If I may, just to add one more layer of complexity to it, some of the land that is under a power line easement is also an HESP land,
Exactly.
which falls under the jurisdiction of the Natural Heritage Endangered Species Protection
Correct.
Program. So we can't even do anything about that. We have to let them pull in, and that's going to come back to us with Stratton Hill.
indeed.
I like how you did it with the Panther Circle. You had a discussion, you went off, two of you went off and talked to town council, I think, on telephone call. You didn't invite me or the public, but you came back to the meeting and you spoke to the public, and you just said what you were doing, and then I liked that. I didn't know, I wasn't sure if that was a conservation finding, it's just part of the process.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
But I'm just saying, for the future, like if there's a decision to be made, I know you're gonna make the decision you're gonna make, but like I did appreciate that was public.
We will always deliberate the decision in public. Always.
Yeah. And you guys all said, you're like, I agree with him, and no, because it was, Anyway, so the other, all right, second to last question. So if you have a conservation analysis and a development impact statement, like, when are you gonna let yourself relax those rules? Because it says that you can waive them.
When I read this the first time, I didn't quite understand why. I think I do now.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr.
Please,
Chair.
Jeff, please do.
So, as you just sat through earlier this evening, we have a situation where, way back when, the planning board, and I was a member of the board then, approved a project. Here we are, I think 6 years later, or 5 years later, and there's exigent circumstances. Yeah, in this situation, it wasn't done to plan, we're trying to work it out. But things will change over time.
Right.
If you don't allow a board some leeway
Yeah.
Okay? You end up in situations where you have to do things that may not line up with other government agency, with other guidelines and government needs. NHESP may change. We don't control that. Conservation, we currently have the Massachusetts wetlands bylaw, and then we also have a town bylaw. They may not always be in sync together.
Yeah.
So you got to find a way to keep moving forward in those situations. So you could read it one way. One way is to read it is, oh, we could decide to never actually require this. It's like window dressing.
Right.
Okay?
Just how I
And the
read
other side of the coin is, the reason for the OSRD stated in the beginning is to preserve open land in perpetuity. So those would be kind of polar opposites. So I think we take it very seriously, or the current board does, I know I do, when asked to do a waiver or release somebody from a requirement, there needs to be a really good reason.
In fact, Jeff, if I may leap in,
Please.
I would like to, if you look on the very, I don't know if you have a copy.
I do.
Okay, the very bottom, the last paragraph on page 1 of the guidelines,
Yep.
notice it says such waivers must be requested by the applicant at the time of application. Here comes the important part. These requests must articulate why
Oh, okay.
the challenge provisions are irrelevant to the project and/or why waiving the provisions better serves the interests of Ayer and its citizens.
Yeah.
We have deliberately added language to this document to demonstrate to everyone that waivers are not an arbitrary consideration, but they must be, every request must be accompanied with legitimate reasons.
Right, they have to think of it.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
Please, Jeff.
we happen to have the Riley Jane Farm here,
Yeah.
and this is the approved set of plans.
Yep.
Oh,
They never fixed a typo that bothered me,
Yeah.
but on the top sheet of the plans, requested waivers.
Oh, yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the board in the beginning,
Yeah.
as either preliminary or final at the end, the requested waivers are actually part of the document that goes, and that document, this has been recorded at the Registry of Deeds, not just here.
Right. My last question is the density bonuses. And this is the last question, so.
No
The
questions?
density bonuses of I watched the Panther Circle and I watched part of the beginning of the Stratton Hill, but in Panther Circle, there was the one with the utility easement and like, is this 50% or not? And then you got to the point where you had to do the one for the solar buildings, and
Yeah.
it was like, I think one of you just said we should just send this to the building inspector next time, because, I mean, they just got, like, all they had to do was get 50%. So I'm just wondering, like, what's going to happen to some of the, I guess I didn't really need to share that, but like, what's going to happen with the density here, like bonuses and hearings related to that?
Yeah.
Is that just part of the subdivision
Yeah.
process?
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's-
let-
I think
well,
I
let
think
me-
I-
Yeah, if I.
Jeff, we're gonna let Mark go and then you go.
Sorry, yeah.
All right, well, the density bonus is described, it was written by the consultant for the 2018 bylaw, and she has, basically, it's a way to encourage good design, you know, for solar-ready access, affordable housing is the other one. What's the other one? Yeah, there's a few in there.
This open
Extra,
space.
extra open
It's
space.
additional.
Extra open space, that's it. Yeah, so that's, you know, basically people can get one or two or a very small percentage of additional units if they do those things.
Yeah.
That's in the bylaw, so to change that would take a town meeting vote. It would take, you know, a warrant article on the town meeting vote to change the density bonuses in the bylaw. So all we're doing here is saying that, on the very last page, guidance on the use of density bonuses. Oh, it's saying that we would prefer that if people, if they're seeking additional housing units, that we would prefer that they do them as attached units first, rather than have additional single-family homes. So it's really just.
That also goes part and parcel with the master plan.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be
Yeah,
making,
thank you.
it's supposed to be making, as a goal, and a stated goal in town, that we have more variation of housing.
Variety of housing
And
types.
housing types within the same development.
Yeah.
So again, I know we worked on that pretty extensively, trying to
Right,
figure out
yes.
the best language, but
Right.
it's kind of, we're trying to wrap the subdivision regs with the master plan thought, with the sustainability, with
Yes.
solar, you know, it's kind of, Sarah's right about the fact that the density bonuses, they're tricky. for instance, we have potential projects that have a tremendous amount of open space, which could qualify for a lot of density bonuses, but we don't see that question having come up.
Right, yeah,
But
Yeah,
in the future,
I was gonna talk to that, I was gonna talk to this, if I may.
Okay, so let's,
Yeah.
yep,
well, yeah.
So,
let's keep our focus, right?
I wanted to go back, because if I could, to the waiver thought, because it skipped by me there for a second, but I believe that no matter what we do, and I'm trying to find the exact language, but planning board always has the ability to waive different sections of a process.
Only-
With legitimate, as you
Only
mentioned.
regulations unless it's specified in the bylaw,
Right.
so
But the
usually bylaw cannot.
what I was getting at is the language on that last page
Yep.
is a subset of language that we have elsewhere. is what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
the same
Yes.
language that we have
Yeah.
in other,
Yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we just basically.
so if
And
I
I
may.
want to acknowledge Jeff.
Yeah, thanks. So, again, if you step back, OSRD, because it preserves land, because it is a better, we believe to be a better use of land, 100 acres, 100 houses, each gets an acre.
Yeah,
Okay, we have sections of town like that.
yeah.
You got 100 acres, but you know what? If you leave 50 acres in open space, we get benefits from that. The number of units you get is pushed into another part of the property based on the value of the conservation value of the property. Now, having someone come here and say, I want to do a subdivision of 100 acres, 100 houses, they can do it. The OSRD is an incentive for them to think, well, you know what? I don't have to build 6 miles of roads.
That's right.
In 150 acres, I can build a mile of road or a mile and a half of road. We don't get saddled with the cost of roads going forward.
Amen.
So it's an incentive. It is an incentive to the developer. It gives us also housing of different value.
Yep.
We've had 3 in front of us.
Yeah.
One of the density bonuses, this is Curly Circle. The density bonuses, they use them. Quite honestly, it's got a lot of units there. But if you think about Curly Circle and the condos and stuff around there, it fits in that
Makes sense.
section of town.
Yeah.
Panther Place, I think he left 12 units on the table.
You did?
He could have done a lot more units in there, but he didn't want to. He wanted to go 10, 12,000 square foot per unit because people want a yard and stuff. So he actually said no thank you to the density bonuses he was
Good.
getting. The other one over here, Panther Place, a similar thing happened. Ultimately, his number, I'm sorry, Shaker Mill Pond. Shaker Mill Pond was an interesting one because he wanted more units, but it would create more buildings. So the back end of Shaker Mill Pond is, I believe, 2
Several
or
duplexes.
3 buildings that are duplex buildings that share a single driveway. Less permeable surface, more space. So, yeah, you're kind of saying to the developer, we're giving you something here, but what we're getting for Shaker Mill Pond is access to the entire pond for the town in perpetuity.
This is the most important thing in town, though. I mean, you can't be like, I'm going to be interested in it, you know? I've had my time, I really appreciate it.
No.
But this really is the most important. If you have a public hearing, like, I'm probably going to be here in the front
Please.
seat again.
Thanks.
Please.
And I left Mr. Archambault alone for the last month. All I did was I asked you for your presentation.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
I went
fine.
right to work
Yeah.
studying it. I didn't ask any questions and
So,
thank you.
can I, we've had this conversation before, we can't work in a vacuum.
No,
What
but
we
you
do
don't.
is technical and boring sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Having other people say, and it happens to us all the time. We get stopped all around town. People say, what are you doing? And can you explain it? Sometimes in explaining things like OSRD, when I started working on the OSRD a long, long time ago, I didn't understand it.
Me neither.
You know, but I've been working with this, I worked with Judy back in 2015 or 2016. So I worked with the consultant on this from the beginning.
Well, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Is there anything you need in order to continue this?
That's
Or
what
do
I
we
said.
not
Any
need
further
to?
consideration, or do I have a motion?
There would be a motion, if the board is willing, a motion to adopt with the amendment that Ken suggested to change the graphic title to OSRD design instead of conservation subdivision design. So with that one amendment,
So
the
moved.
motion would be to.
So
Seconded.
I got a motion from Julie.
Seconded.
A seconded from Jeff. Any discussion? Further discussion?
No.
Thank you for all that work and
All right, then
discussion.
I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor of
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, let's say aye. Everyone here has said aye, there's no one to say nay, so it is officially approved.
Unanimous.
It is adopted, it's unanimous and adopted. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
It's been
Sarah.
real-
Have a good
Yeah,
night.
Thank you, Sarah.
We have town planner update and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're coming, I know.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yep.
yep. So let's
Sorry.
start the time, no,
Sorry,
that's
John.
okay. So town planner update,
Excuse me.
what's it?
Oh,
Technically, do we need to vote to close the
Close the
public
public
hearing?
hearing.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yes, I'm sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you making that motion, sir?
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing for the open space residential development draft regulations.
Excellent. We have a mo-
Seconded.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Okay, town planner update. Okay, I obtained update on the subdivisions and ongoing projects. I'll start with the subdivisions. Shaker Mill Pond, out of 26 units, there are 10 building permits currently being worked under right now. So it seems to be going well. I drove by the entrance today. I didn't drive in, but it looks like the base coat is well established. And the work was much further along than we took a walk there a few weeks ago. So that seems to be going well. Panther Place, as we saw recently, they're putting in the underground utilities. And Charlie told me that there are 2 building permits that actually have been pulled for some of the interior lots, but obviously they're not ready to start construction yet.
Well, that gives me, so if they actually were allowed to build the building permits, then Charlie must be satisfied that they have water and sewer there.
Yeah, I didn't get into all the details.
Well, we saw the water.
He told me there were 2 building permits in the interior that were,
Yeah,
you
because
know,
he,
pulled.
so they were pulled, they may not have been issued. I'm
Oh,
not sure if they were-
yeah,
maybe they
yeah, when he
applied
says the
for-
word pulled might be applied for, yes. John Carroll, whoops.
He
John
typically
Carroll.
doesn't issue the permit unless he's
Right.
assured there's water and sewer
Yeah.
ready to go.
John Carroll Reserve, all 19 of the building permits are being worked under right now. Central Ave, right down the street there is, you can see the building frame is up.
Yep.
I guess things have slowed down a little bit, but we'll monitor that. And that brings us to, if you don't have any questions about those, Air Solar 2.
Yeah, I was going to say we can move on to the
Air
business.
Solar 2. Yeah, it was discussed that, there are some concerns about, some of the work down there, and it, may not be in compliance with, the site plan. So I called Rohit Garg, who's head of Prometheus Group that was overseeing the whole plan and development process. And he told me that he very much would like to be part of any site walk down there that's official, especially, if we're going to be making decisions based on that. Unfortunately, he's out of the country for about a month. So we were looking at the calendars and trying to come up with a date for a joint public site visit with the Planning Board and Conservation Commission, and the only thing we could come up with right now is July 12th.
And so
which is a little,
that's
little less than a
away.
month from now. So that's a Planning Board meeting day too, but he would suggest the morning. The morning of July 12th is what he suggested. Now he's still around for a few more days, so if that's not agreeable to the board and the board wants to get out there sooner, I could call him tomorrow and let him know that we'd like to get out there sooner, perhaps with GPR, whoever.
I'd like to get some
so
thoughts on that,
let's
because my
see how-
feeling that July 12th is pretty far off, and a lot of things can happen down there in that month.
Somebody could pave a road.
Somebody could pave a road, etc. So my feeling is, I'd have that visit with a representative, the engineer or whoever. What do the rest of you feel about that?
I am unable to attend in the more near future.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? I can't
That's-
come, but
that's
I would,
what-
if I could just say what I feel, I think it would be to have a meeting sooner, or site walk sooner rather than later.
Sooner versus later.
You're with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will tell you that I will do what I can to adjust my schedule. Thursday, I expect to be out of town all day. So I can do a Friday, I can do a Saturday, I can do it.
All right. I will get back in touch with him
I
and
appreciate
try to
it.
move it up,
I think it's important.
It is important.
It is
Very
important.
soon.
You know, we may not be
Concern.
able to get, we may not be able to get to a conclusion on a sidewalk, which is expected, but I think it'd be nice to have something in place for our next meeting, at least.
I do too.
Right, okay,
And the goal is, yeah, if possible,
Before the
take place
next
before the next
meeting.
meeting would be
okay.
ideal.
And if he's got a couple
So
of,
very soon.
if he
Yeah.
can throw out a couple of opportunities, I mean,
Yeah.
I recognize that he has to travel to come here, and I'm happy to meet his schedule.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
he's,
that's my
you know,
vote.
he's got his crew and.
Yeah.
Right, he has representatives, so.
GPR has engineers.
But I also know that he flies in for these things when they're important to him, so.
Right, yes. Well, he may still want to do July 12th after we do an
Yeah.
earlier one, so.
That's okay.
We'll see, but I'll report back to everybody on what.
Yeah, but if it's okay with you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to do it sooner versus later.
I am,
Okay.
I am in agreement with that
It-
sentiment.
Every day here goes by,
Yeah.
more work gets done.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's my concern.
Not that there's a huge problem out there, but let's, you know.
Right, okay.
Cataldo?
Yeah, I need to, I still haven't set that up yet, but I would want to set that up. That could be for next Thursday, sure, because he's local, he's right here, so I'll try to set that up for next Thursday.
Good. So,
Can I make a request?
yes,
It's a
go ahead.
personal request. I have an expectation that I'll probably be traveling on Thursdays going forward.
Okay.
Just because it fits in with the project I'm working on. But I don't have to be in Western Massachusetts typically till 11 o'clock. So if we could do early
Do it early.
Thursdays, that, you know,
Early.
8 or 8:30 Thursdays would be nice.
Yeah, if it's a Thursday earlier,
Yeah.
that works for me.
No later than 8:30.
Yeah, I just figure it's an hour to an hour and a half.
And then you have time to get out
8:30 is
west.
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can be in Deerfield or Greenfield, we don't have to be out there
Sure,
on a project.
all right.
Good.
Try for Thursday. Okay,
then
so I'll get
that's
back to
just-
everybody with these dates, and I will, I'll try to set up a site visit for Air Solar 2 within a week or two, at the most.
Excellent, yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, to Mark, any news on other projects that were approved and given site plan approval to but haven't started? For instance, the place where they're gonna store the LP natural gas on.
They're working, the update on that is there's an easement document that is sort of a stickling point for some reason. And I have, town council is reviewing an easement document right now, and, for that project.
Thank you.
So-
What else did we have? Did we approve site plan for?
Is that one?
The field?
Well, then there's, of course, there's,
Is that a field?
well, there's Catania Oils.
The Catania, the athletic field, at the
Well,
high
high
school?
school is going to.
Yeah,
That's
high
going
school.
on.
I think it's done.
That's
Yeah.
what we done.
Did you just turn it off, Jeff?
Yeah.
Have they started yet, the high school?
High school? It's well underway.
Really?
Yeah.
The
Where
expectation
have I
is,
been?
the expectation is, you gotta get on the town, listen, the town Facebook page, but seriously, they're rocking it because they wanna use it in late August.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The school opens again in August and September, so
That's
they can
going, that's
have.
going real good.
Excellent. Forgive me, but I just, are you done with your town planner update? Any further?
I
did you want-
think so, unless
Good.
there's something else I forgot, which probably have.
I don't have any old business or new business. Does anyone else have any business they would wish to discuss? I'm going to start with you, Julie.
I have, Mark, if you don't mind, I had emailed Mark, I know it's busy, but a resident approached me, I just want to fill everyone else in, a resident approached me about what the process is to dissolve a paper road. They have a situation there that they're just kind of concerned a certain neighbor seems to be thinking the whole road is theirs and it actually runs behind store properties. And they had heard that, which I thought this part was interesting, so I thought it would be a great discussion for us just to have in general. But the town of Shirley they had heard at their town meeting, made a bigger proposition of, I mean, I'm not using correct words late, but looked at dissolving many of their paper roads, like just feeling that a lot of them were old and not needed. So I was hoping that was something we could at least have a discussion of going forward, at least so I can let that resident know.
Like the cat that got the canary just.
So Ken, yeah, Ken, what's
There's a
on your
lot
mind?
of really interesting
Done
conversation
hundreds of
at,
hours of research on this
at
topic.
kids' baseball games
Okay.
with parents with nothing to do.
Through the chair to Julie. professionally.
Please, Ken.
So I did a tremendous amount of work on this. I have a huge file on it.
Yes.
On my computer, on my paper roads.
Yes.
And of course, the first factor of the matter is, and it could be so simple, it actually has to be a town road. That's
Yes.
the first thing.
Yeah,
Okay, not a
exactly.
private way.
I gotta take notes when
Something-
Mr. Diskin speaks.
Somebody imagined it has to really be a road.
Yes.
So typically, the definition of a paper street, a paper road, is a subdivision. Well, there's two types. The typical one is that it's a subdivision that was proposed,
Yeah,
but potentially never got completed. So the paper
Yeah.
means the paper
Yeah.
is the subdivision plan, in essence.
yeah,
But a real town road is
Yeah.
not a paper road. It's a real town road.
all right.
Which
It may
then
not
can-
be constructed.
No, it still could be constructed.
No, but
But
it
it
could
be, has to be abandoned at a town meeting.
Exactly.
To be dissolved.
Yes, but a road may have been laid out by the town and never constructed.
Okay.
No, it can, I have experience with a
Yes.
road next to me that was a road and was used by the town,
Yes,
but then was decided to be abandoned officially.
yeah,
So the process ends up being, it has to go to town meeting to be abandoned, but you really need to first figure out what it is. And if it's a real town road that's
Yeah.
still there, and it goes through town meeting, then historically, what has happened is that the property owners that abut the road end up to the middle of the road.
yes.
This happens to be exactly what happened on a project that's been before us.
Yep.
So that's kind of what it is. So really some research has to be done to determine through Department of Public Works that they recognize it as a town road, it's our town
Okay.
street. So don't speculate what it is.
Yeah.
Go to the Department of Public Works who has records of every single street. That's
Yeah.
way back to the 1800s.
Yeah.
And they can tell you that that was is a street right now on the road.
I'm gonna add one thing to it. It may have been laid out in the subdivision as a road,
Yeah,
and utilities were placed in that area.
yeah,
The road was never constructed,
Right.
and it now has a permanent easement.
right.
There is a situation on Shaker Road behind the 7 units that were built there, the old house with the ones on both sides of it.
Yeah.
There is actually a 20-foot wide easement that runs all the way out the back of that property
Snake Hill Road.
to
Snake Hill Road.
no, that's Shaker. It's across. Anyway, there's an easement there that runs because water and sewer has to get through there to the properties behind.
Yeah,
The people who live there think it's their land, and they actually were going to fence it and do stuff like that. And you've got
okay.
and DPW just they politely informed them that should you do that, put a gate in because we need to get in there all the time. So that's the other thing about paper streets,
Yeah.
is there may be something under the ground that nobody knows about.
Okay, so they start with the DPW.
Yeah.
From there, they would need to go through the process of bringing it to town meeting.
Undoubtedly, they'll end up with a professional engineer and an attorney.
Yes.
Okay,
It will ultimately become probably a citizen's petition at town meeting.
But
But they-
DPW can tell you how it exists right now,
Yeah.
what it is.
And they have to
Would
lay
there-
it out and survey it and
what
all
would the
that.
reason be that Shirley did this on a grander scale?
Because I read the
Yeah.
data, I read the data in Shirley a little bit, not comprehensively, but
Yeah.
there happens to be some streets in Shirley in particular that go right to the town line. And so they're considered to be a dead end on one side of the line and maybe not on the other.
Okay.
It was complicated.
So they had a reason that they did
Yeah.
this in a bigger scale.
Right, so they
It's not something we would ever need to consider for our
No, we
town.
could potentially do it, but it hasn't been an issue that's risen to the level of,
And there could be reasons for maintenance costs and stuff like that.
yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
then wouldn't we
town doesn't want to
consider it?
maintain a road that doesn't go anywhere.
But
So we might want to have, that
And-
resident might want to bring that question up
Yeah.
for air. And they
And-
would start by having this conversation about their local reason
Yeah.
for DPW.
And
we really
if,
have to figure out what it is first, because what gets confusing is that it could be a private way
Yeah.
from day one. It never really was a road.
Okay.
So there's different definitions of what a street or a road is.
yeah.
And sometimes people think it's a town road, but it's really not. It's a private way, which is treated differently.
Okay,
It's good.
thanks.
Yeah, and they have to and oftentimes the land is then sold to the abutters by the community.
Anything else? Old new business? Ken, Jeff?
I like the new setup.
under new business.
I like, I wanted to ask you guys how you felt about the minutes. Jeff and I had a brief discussion, and I was saying, hey, Jeff, now that you're doing this, it doesn't mean you have to do the minutes in the same way. We had kind of unofficially, informally had considered maybe the minutes could be less detailed and just touch on the highlights of, and Jeff agreed that, yeah, that's something worth exploring. I like this version of the minutes very much. I like the minutes that we got for May 24th, and I just wanted to hear from Ken and Julie, and of course I would ask Nathan if you hear what you thought about the minutes, if they were acceptable to you, if you liked that direction.
The 24th don't represent the new format.
They don't?
No.
Well, who wrote them?
Heather.
Oh. Well, like,
So,
was the same.
if
was it the same as before?
Yeah. So if
Well, I thought they were good.
They're good.
I mean, no, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
We hear you. That won't be in the minutes.
No, that's.
I'm going to start with that. No, so there's been
I'm very happy with the minutes that we got today.
May I, Mr. Krantz?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair. So there's been an ongoing discussion about meeting minutes since I arrived in Ayer 8 years ago.
Yeah.
There are two schools of thought that are at each end of the spectrum, and a whole lot in the middle. Minutes should be date, location, attendance, items discussed in general, motions proposed, findings, stuff like that. If you take a look at the select board's minutes, they are very, they're more concise than ours. The select board doesn't say Mr. Archambault stated, Mr. Krantz stated, Mr. Diskin stated, Ms. Murray stated. The board discussed open space residential design. Sarah Whitney of 11 Groton Shirley Road, brought forth 4 questions. The board discussed each question. Hearing was closed, passed unanimously, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So it really comes with how you grew up doing minutes. So it's going to be a hybrid, more of a hybrid than we've had before of the meetings. I do have the select board meeting template, and I was trying to do it at the same time during the meeting, but we got a great discussion going, so my brain couldn't do both. So I'll have to watch the video, but I'll submit it to you all as draft. Let's take a look at it for next meeting, and we'll figure it out.
Good.
And you won't get it before midnight tonight, I can promise you that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Mr. Chair, I have heard this discussion, as Jeff mentioned before, with other boards, and I think Mark wants to weigh in on it, but I only have one tiny concern, and that is the public records requirement. Whatever the minimum is of the public records requirement, that's what we need to comply with.
Absolutely.
So just, keep that in mind.
And if I may, and Mr. Archambault will be involved in it, but Ms. Antonellis has asked me to submit them to her also, for that reason specifically, because she's a professional. If she can read through it and figure out what's going on, that's a pat on the back, and we'll figure it out.
Okay, good.
And so the key part here is, because the minutes are much more detailed now, it's easy to pick up typos and stuff like that. The goal for the next meeting is to read the minutes and see, was that the meeting I was at? Did something get overlooked? The good news is Barry's going to go right home and put this on the Facebook page for me, so I can get up early in the morning and do it. But anyway, we have a record. It's not an official record. The minutes become the official record of the meeting.
Any other business? I would take a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
So moved. Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everybody.